I'm Riley Byrne. I'm a third-year jazz student at Rutgers University, Mason Gross School of the Arts.
Alright, so Riley, how's your semester going so far?
I have the busiest semester by far this year because I'm a junior now, and they threw all the core jazz courses at me. Really learning how to improvise, and I'm learning how to compose and arrange jazz music for a big band. And I've never had to think about these things before. At least not this in depth, and not so much jazz mentality until right now. So it's been very difficult adjusting. But other than it being the hardest semester, it's still all very enjoyable.
Alright, so what's an average week for you like?
Every day I have 9:15 class, and Mondays and Wednesdays it's jazz improvisation, and Tuesdays and Thursdays it's jazz comp and arranging. So it's all jazz, all early in the morning.
All jazz, all day.
That's right.
You know this is for my final. I have to film this video for my media technology class. But how are you prepping for your finals? It has to be much different since you're not a traditional student.
My finals involve me practicing a lot of jazz standards. I have to memorize at least 10 jazz standards every semester for my jury, and I have to be put in front of the jazz faculty by myself and have a bunch of tunes memorized. I have to be able to recite the chord changes, I have to be able to solo over those chord changes, and I have to know the melody also, even though I'm a bass player. And other than that, my finals are normal exams, mainly focused on my jury and getting myself to sound the way that my professors want me to, and studying for exams is important too.
So they have you playing and they have you doing paper exams. It's a lot of work.
Yes, and I also have another performance-based final. I have to conduct the symphony for my conducting class, which is something I've never had to do before. I've never had to prepare to conduct a symphony, so it's been a lot of preparation.
Alright, so maybe you've never conducted a symphony before, but we started out conducting the high school band, and that's sort of how we know each other. So you've come so far since our middle school days of playing tequila in Mr. Connery's class. How does it feel to be so close to graduating with a music degree?
It's all very scary, actually. They're going to kick us out into the real world, and then they're going to be our competition, our jazz faculty at school. They're stressing to us, you know, we're going to beat you out for the gigs that you want to get after you graduate. Like, you better get better than us. And it's all kind of a scare tactic, but you know what? It's true. We're going to have to just perform and play our best after we graduate, and especially if we plan on performing by trade, you have to be very proficient at what you do. So it's all very intimidating, but I think we're all going to find a place where we fit in the music industry.
Alright, so speaking of performing and getting that chance to be a performer, you do a lot of performance outside of school, and since we were just talking about middle school and high school, why don't we talk about the Cretans and other things that you're working on?
Yes, I've been in the same band for 7 years.
And that's a long time for just a hometown band.
Yeah, especially since we started out so young. We were called the Cretans, and now we're called Discreet. And we're a trio. We're experimental rock music, and we all sing vocal harmonies together. Even though we're a trio, we sound very full, being that we have 3 voices, and we cover a lot of ground for being only a young trio. We've actually covered a lot of geographical ground too. We've played all over the Upper East Coast, and we're all best friends, and we think that our music is as compatible as our friendships with each other. And we look to continue, even though we're in colleges right now and we don't get to rehearse as much. We look to continue performing in the future, whether it be serious as our career choice or whether it just be fun on the weekends performing at local venues.
So, knowing that you've been in all these bands so far, what led you to pursue a degree in jazz instead of trying to make it famous, trying to make it big?
You know, I'm studying jazz right now because I want someone to teach me how to play, and I want someone to teach me how to play where I don't necessarily need to be reading the music. I think classical music is all in the notation and what the page in front of you says, where jazz is more open for interpretation, and you don't have to look down at the page. You really hear what's going on around you and you interact. And I think that's what I appreciate about jazz. And the reason I am pursuing a Bachelor of Music is because I want a piece of paper that says I know how to play.
I mean, that's all it is when you really get out there. I mean, it definitely helps you with making connections and stuff, but I mean...
It's basically a certification that you can jump through the hoop as a musician.
Alright, so let's stray from all this serious talk. We'll break it down a little bit. What are some of your favorite musical acts right now, and can you tell us a little bit about why?
There's so many. You mean alive right now? Like performing currently?
I mean, this is entirely up to you. Pick any alive, dead. Let's do one alive and one not.
Alright, well, outside of playing instruments and playing jazz and studying in school, I really appreciate live vocal harmonies, and I consider myself a producer of sorts, being that I like to help people harmonize with their melodies, and I like to be the one that harmonizes with other people's melodies, and I like to help people make their songs better and bring their songs out. And my sources of inspiration for these vocal harmonies come from various different directions, but I'm going to name one artist that influences me a lot, and that's Crosby, Stills and Nash.
Nice.
They performed at Woodstock, and I saw, when I was very little, I saw them perform live at Woodstock. The video, I wasn't alive, the video obviously, and they are so good. Their harmonies are perfect live, pristine. And I think that served as a source of inspiration for me, that you can make likable music and have it be approachable to the non-musician, but still involve a lot of musicianship and make it very enjoyable to perform. And another artist that does that's currently touring is Fleet Foxes. They do it on a much larger scale. Their band is actually, I think, 8 or 9 people.
They're headed to Union Transfer and soon.
Yeah, they'll be playing in Philly. I want to definitely catch that. And I saw them at the Tower Theater one time, and it honestly was one of the best performances I've ever seen. They do 8-part harmonies live, and it sounded perfect, and I'm not exaggerating. They really, their musicianship is really ahead of its time. I think that they are uncomparable to other bands that are touring today.
When would you say this passion started, that you knew you were going to do this for the rest of your life? Did you ever see yourself heading to college to get a music degree?
I knew that I was going to do something in music. I never quite knew if I was going to study classical music on the cello or jazz music on the upright bass like I am, but I knew that I was going to do something in the music industry, and I did apply to a couple schools where I was going to be a non-performance music major, like music industry or music business, and I couldn't see myself not playing. And I think part of my decision to go to school for performance was the love of playing notes and the love of just making noise in general and playing with people. And I didn't want to lose sight of that, and I didn't want to not play. And I think that as far as a career move, music is hard to choose, but when you love it enough and you've spent enough time on it getting to sound like you want to, there really is no other way. I think that once you've really found what you love to listen to and what you love to sound like and what you want to show people in your own music, there really is no other way to look at your career. It's what you do, and I think I got just far enough in my own music performance progress that there was no looking back.
Yeah, it's a huge commitment.
Definitely, I spent a lot of time just practicing alone that I wouldn't trade it for anything. My music ability is something that I've harped on since I was a little kid, and I wouldn't stop my progress for anyone.
That's a really great answer. That was great. All right, Riley, we're running out of time for tonight, so just real quick, tell us where we can see you headed in the near future.
Well, in the near future, I'm going to be always trying to find a gig, and that's because I always want to be performing. I never want to stop performing. I like to stay sharp, and I like to perform in front of people as much as humanly possible in any setting. And I'm always going to love performing, and I would love to tour someday with the band or even play a musical or just anything really. I love to just stay performing, and I also plan to go to grad school and learn to become a producer. Whether that be in the recording studio or in live settings, I would love to help other people's music as well, and I think that that's my calling.
All right, great. Well, thanks for chatting with us tonight, and good night.